Welcome to Ilagan Whiteboard Friday, where we look at complex legal and compliance issues in a simple to do way. This series is brought to you by Ilagan, your partner and provider of end-to-end business services.
Hello and welcome to Ilagan Whiteboard Fridays, where we look at various legal and compliance related issues in a user-friendly fashion. Today we will have a much more detailed look at understanding a term sheet. Generally, when you are raising money from an angel funder or a seed or a VC, they always give you a term sheet before starting the due diligence process and broad numbers are arrived at. So, few important things that you should be aware of and that you should look when you are evaluating the term sheet before signing. So, we will look at some of those points. Many times what happens generally when you start a company, you start with a capital of 1 lakh, 2 lakh, 5 lakh kind of thing. But the requirements of the business is much more higher. So typically all the founders and promoters give some unsecured loan to the company to run the day-to-day activities of the company. That loan is treated as an unsecured loan and remains on the books of the company. But when you go to an investor and try to raise money, most of the investors, especially at the angel level or a seed level, they give a clause where they want you to actually convert all your existing debts to equity. Now what does this mean? This means that suppose you have given a loan of 20 lakh rupees to the company, then they would want you to convert all the debts to equity, and after that they would take into consideration at a fully diluted basis how much their stake should be. Now if you convert your debt, for example say 20 lakh rupees to equity, you will have two choices. One is converting it at a face value. That means you need to increase your authorized capital by 20 lakhs or maybe much more. In that case, the overall government fees goes up very higher. So the cost, because equity financing is a little more expensive. That is one option you have. The second option is you can convert your debt at a very high premium. So that your overall authorized capital does not goes up very high. In that case, what happens, although it is expected that promoters should take a risk, but generally in a normal IT scenario, if you look at it, the founders are not expected to buy shares at a very high premium. They are expected to buy shares at face values or a little bit premium. So you actually land up paying a very high premium to reduce your authorized capital in the process of converting your debts to equity. The nutshell message is you are actually going to lose all that money that before raising any funding. So be prepared for that, or otherwise find out better alternatives. Whether can you again, it may not be possible to repay your loan before raising money because the company may not have that much cash. But this is something that you should be aware of and you should be prepared, because most of the investors would insist on converting your debts to equity. Then many investors again have a tendency of taking stakes through various routes. So one would be linked to the investment, so directly equivalent to the money that they are putting in. Many investor comes on board as a mentor and advisor also. So they also take some stakes at 3%, 1%, 5%, 10% against whatever consulting time or mentoring time that they spend with the company. So you should look at both the figures to actually arrive at how much percent stake you are giving to them. You should not just look at against investment how much you are giving, so you are of the opinion that okay, I am getting this much money and I am giving this much stake. But you should look at if there are multiple avenues, so you should look at all those avenues and calculate how much dilution it is going to give it to you. Then you should look at tranches of investment. Suppose I commit to you say 50 lakh rupees, but I give you in 3 or 5 installments. And then there could be multiple conditions for tranches. So I give you 10 lakhs now, then you should reach to this level. Then again, if you show me those performance, then I release the further 10 lakhs. So those kind of things you should be aware of and you should understand them well. There should be a proper basis in case if there are any conditions for tranches, it should be documented well. So what would be the evaluation criteria, what would be the evaluation process, what milestones should be set, whether those are really achievable or not. Just don't go very bullish, no, I will achieve this and then only you release money. Otherwise, typically what would happen is you will just end up getting first or second tranche, and the future tranches could be cancelled by the investor. So your overall impact, you thought I raised 1 crore, but you could end up just with 20-30 lakhs or whatever tranches you have already got it. Many investors put this minimum ROI, that is return on investment, or mandatory buyback. So typically they give you a time frame of 4 to 5 years to go IPO, or to make sure you give them an exit clause in 4 to 5 years. This is also governed by the LP's decision, where they have a fixed time frame to invest into various companies and they need to exit and show it to their investors. This is a very important clause. Many times this has outstanding and huge numbers. They expect somewhere around 40, 30, 35% kind of a return on investment. Or they, if you are not able to go IPO, they even put conditions like the founders needs to buy at that fair market value and at those prices if you are not able to find them buyers, or it is your duty only to find a buyer for them in the next 4 years in case if you are not giving any other exit option. If none of the exit option works, many investors even put a clause that the founders will go ahead and buy that shares at those fair market valuation. Again, they could appoint an agency to arrive at fair market valuation. But the point is, giving such a big commitment, because there the numbers are huge, it could actually require crores of rupees depending on how you are performing. And in your personal capacities, you may not have that much money to actually give you a mandatory buyback. So we recommend you could actually negotiate for these terms and try to look at you don't enter into a mandatory buyback, but you would actually facilitate all kinds of exit options for them. But there is no guarantee that you will buy back, and if you are not able to find an investor or a buyer, then they will have to continue. Like there should not be any personal liabilities or guarantees of the founders associated for this. Neither for the return on investment, if you are not able to offer that return on investment, or for any mandatory buyback, any personal liability should not be associated. You should also look at restrictions and lock-in period for founders. So this is much more important, especially if you are raising money after a while of starting the company. Typically, like you are expected to be there for next 4 to 5 years. But suppose you have already started a company and 3 years down the line, maybe your third round of funding or second round even, if you are raising. So they could say you have to lock in your shares or contribution, or you need to be committed for the company for next 5 years. So your overall period actually goes up very high, say 6, 7 years, 8 years kind of thing, which maybe may not fall in line with your founder's personal objective. So you should be aware of what are restrictions they are putting and what kind of lock-in periods are they offering. Are they also looking at offering you a vesting schedule from the current investment date for the next 4 years? So all your previous vestings, are they liable for cancellation or something like that? So these are some gotchas that you should be aware of. Many investors, especially again at a lower, like an angel level or a seed level, try to put a lot of restrictions on the approval process. So they want you to take approval for everything that you do. The approvals could be as low as hiring an employee worth 3 lakh rupees an annum, or it could be 7 lakh rupees an annum, right? So before you can hire anybody who's actually getting a salary of 7 lakh, you need to go and take their approval. Hey, I'm hiring this guy, which may not actually gel well with the strategy, or even buying a small thing with a lakh rupees or 50,000. So you should know what all conditions they are putting up. You should deeply evaluate them, what impact that would bring into day-to-day running of business, because for each and everything, it should not happen that you are going and taking their approval. Hey, I want to do this. Any business decision or any strategic decision which has a financial impact of say 1 lakh rupee, 5 lakh rupee in your business, they would put a condition you need to take an approval from them. So that overall slows the vibrant nature of startups, and even brings a lot of hurdles into the day-to-day running of the business. So you should be aware of those things. Compliance requirement, typically investors want, and everybody should comply to all the legal things, but it should not go beyond the boundaries of like too many things. Every 15 days you need to share financial reports, the data analytics, business projections, or every 2 months, 3 months. So it depends on again what is the amount of money. The point here that we're trying to make is it depends on what is the amount of money that you are raising and whether this much pains you have to have, say, formal board meetings, you need to fly in the investors, give all their expenses just for 10 lakh rupees that you are raising up. So those things you should be looking at. Cap on due diligence expense, this is very important. We have seen multiple cases where the due diligence expenses has been capped at close to 15-20% of what the money you are trying to raise. It should ideally be under 2 to 3% or even much lower. So you should not just commit, okay, I will hire a KPMG to do the due diligence because I am giving you 5 lakh rupees and KPMG gives the bill of 3 lakh rupees to you to conduct the due diligence. So you should be aware of what kind of cap they have given, or like if few investors have to fly in to sign the documents and all the expenses, all the legal expense. So good, you allow them their agencies, but then it should not happen that 5 lakh or 10 lakh you have raised and you have paid 3 lakhs on the legal due diligence expenses itself. Then there are something called the 2 steps to any term sheet. There are like conditions precedent and conditions subsequent, which is also popularly called as CP and CS. CP is basically before they actually release the money, it will specify a list of items that should have been completed before you can actually like post due diligence. If everything is through, then there would be a list of activities which has to be completed before you would actually go and get the money. And then there are conditions subsequent. So this is the list of activities that you should do once the money is in. So you should go through in much more detail what are those lists and whether those are something acceptable. For an example, many times investor insist that on the day that you receive money, you should be issuing the shares to them. Share certificate should be in their hand. It could be that you receive the money at 5 o'clock in the evening and then it becomes virtually impossible. So maybe small things like that, but then you should evaluate all the CPs and CS and then see if everything is achievable, the reasonable time frames are there or not. So things like that. So these are some of the important aspects that you should look at before signing a term sheet. And even if you are approaching an expert to take their opinion, and also look for yourself, because this is something which is not too much legal, but this is something that you can also see what's going on and whether you are entering into the right set of investors or not. That's it. Feel free to drop us a mail at support@eLagan.com for any queries that you may have. You can also check our knowledge base at elagan.com/kb. Thank you.